Hello, my intuitive and mysterious Scorpio soul, and welcome home to the mystic Astrozen, your sacred space for transformation, cosmic wisdom, and soul awakening. This week, July 14th through July 20th, holds a powerful energetic shift for you, one that splits the path into two distinct directions. One leads toward what we call jackpot energy, a moment of divine alignment, unexpected blessings and soul-level breakthroughs that feel like destiny finally catching up to you. The other, however, hides an emotional trap, something that appears promising on the surface, but may drain your energy, test your intuition, or reopen emotional wounds you thought were healed. The cards this week didn't come with a gentle whisper. They arrived with a warning and a gift, and it's your choice, Scorpio, which path you'll walk. But the good news is this: you are not walking blindly. You have the cosmic tools, the intuitive power, and the spiritual clarity to discern what's real from what's just a mirage. In this reading, we'll explore both sides of this energetic fork in the road. The radiant blessings waiting for you if you stay aligned with your truth, and the subtle red flags that could pull you into loops of emotional deception. This is not clickbait. This is the real dynamic unfolding in your field, and it's a sacred invitation to deepen your awareness and take your power back. If you've been feeling like something big is about to happen, you're right. The energy is loud, and it's not random. Synchronicities are speaking louder than ever. You may notice numbers repeating: 7 to 77, 1 to 11, 313. You may feel a nudge to change directions, to say no where you once said yes, or to pause before reacting. These are not coincidences. They are signs from your higher self and the universe, urging you to choose the path that leads to freedom, not entanglement. So stay close, dear Scorpio. Whether you are already on the edge of your breakthrough or still in the fog of confusion, this message is designed to gently uncover the truth and return you to your deepest knowing. Because jackpot energy isn't just about money, it's about flow, peace, clarity, and feeling like you are exactly where you're meant to be. And emotional traps, they only have power when you forget how far you've come. This week is a spiritual crossroad. Let's walk it together, with eyes open and heart strong. Take a deep breath. Your soul already knows the way. So let's begin by stepping into the heart of this week's energy. As we open the space with the cards, a clear polarity emerges, a cosmic duality that mirrors what many of you have likely been sensing deep within. On one side, we're shown the sun, a radiant card of clarity, abundance, and alignment. On the other side, the moon reversed appears, casting shadows of confusion, deception, and emotional misdirection. These two forces don't just represent external events. They symbolize what's unfolding inside of you. This week, the cosmos is reflecting back a simple truth. You are being asked to choose not just what you want, but who you are becoming in the process. Energetically, July 14th, 20 carries the vibration of the number 7, the seeker, the spiritual student, the soul that refuses to settle for surface-level answers. And with current planetary alignments, including Pluto stirring up subconscious transformation and Venus brushing against boundaries in love and money, it's no wonder you may feel a strange combination of pressure and promise. You might sense that something big is close, but at the same time an invisible fog is trying to keep you second-guessing. This is the dual energy we're working with, and Scorpio, as a fixed water sign ruled by Pluto and Mars, you're not a stranger to intensity. But this week isn't about bracing for chaos. It's about embracing contrast so you can make conscious choices. Think of this as a sacred test. The universe is not punishing you. It is preparing you. The clarity you crave will only come when you honor both the light and the shadow dancing around you. The real question is not, what will happen to me? But rather, what energy will I align with? Truth or illusion, trust or control, destiny or distraction? If you've been feeling torn between two options, stuck in a cycle of emotional highs and lows, or unsure whether something is a blessing or a warning, keep listening. Because in the next part of this message, we'll dive deep into the signs and synchronicities that show you're stepping into jackpot energy, the path where everything begins to flow, almost as if the universe has been waiting for you to finally say yes to yourself. Now let's talk about what it means to step into jackpot energy, not just as a concept, but as an embodied frequency that shows up in your daily life. When the cards reveal the Star, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Wheel of Fortune, it's more than good luck. It's confirmation that something you've prayed for, visualized, or surrendered to is beginning to take root. These aren't fleeting wins or surface-level manifestations. This is the kind of alignment that happens when your soul says yes before your mind even understands why. If you've been following subtle nudges, walking away from what doesn't resonate anymore, or trusting the quiet voice within even when it made no logical sense, this is your reward. Jackpot energy doesn't crash in with fireworks. It hums quietly at first, like a shift in the air. You'll know it's near when synchronicities begin to multiply. You glance at the clock, and it's 11:11. A stranger says exactly what you were just thinking, or a door that was once sealed suddenly opens without force. You may receive an opportunity that feels too perfect to plan, or reconnect with someone who offers a key piece to your puzzle. But the clearest sign? Peace. Not the kind that comes from everything being perfect, but the kind that lives inside you regardless of what's happening around you. You might feel more energized, more open to possibilities, more anchored in self-trust. This is what it feels like to be in flow, when effort meets grace and timing aligns without resistance. But here's the sacred truth. The universe doesn't give jackpot energy to just anyone. It comes to those who are ready to hold it with integrity, patience, and inner clarity. So if you've been doing the inner work, releasing what no longer serves you, and taking inspired action from your soul, this week the tide begins to turn. But while this energy opens wide for some, there's another current moving beneath the surface. One that's quieter, more deceptive, and potentially draining. And if you're not fully grounded in your truth, it could pull you into emotional chaos disguised as love, opportunity, or urgency. Let's explore that path next. Try not to fear it, but to recognize it and rise above it. And now let's turn our gaze gently toward the other side of this week's energy, the emotional trap that hides in plain sight. Unlike the jackpot path that glows with quiet certainty, emotional traps often arrive wrapped in urgency, charm, or familiarity. They feel like a soft pull at first, a sudden message from someone you thought was out of your life, a job offer that seems too good to be true, or an internal whisper that says, just one more time. These traps aren't always dark and dramatic. Sometimes they come dressed as healing, as second chances, as promises that echo your deepest hopes. But the tarot doesn't lie. When the Devil, 7 of Swords, and 10 of Wands appear together, they speak of energies that drain, manipulate, or keep you entangled in emotional cycles you've already outgrown. You may feel a subtle heaviness in your chest, a fog in your mind, or a growing discomfort in situations that once felt exciting. These are your sacred cues, your soul's built-in warning system. This week, if you find yourself second-guessing your truth, over-explaining yourself to someone, or feeling emotionally exhausted after a conversation, pause. That is not your path. Real alignment never makes you shrink, and emotional traps only have power when we ignore our own boundaries, in exchange for temporary validation or connection. Scorpio, your gift is depth, but that depth can also make you susceptible to emotional intensity that isn't actually love. It's attachment, it's familiarity, it's the echo of a wound asking to be reopened. But you've come too far to repeat what you've already survived. So when the trap presents itself, and it likely will this week, don't respond immediately. Breathe. Observe. Ask yourself, does this bring peace or confusion? Because anything that requires you to abandon your truth, rush into decisions, or silence your intuition is not a blessing. It's a beautifully disguised lesson. And if you're feeling that familiar tug right now, don't panic. You're not failing. How you're being shown with clarity, where your power is ready to rise. In the next part of this message, we'll uncover the specific signs the universe is sending to help you know which path you're walking, so you never have to guess again. So how do you know in real time whether you're walking toward jackpot energy or slipping into an emotional trap? The truth is, the universe is always speaking. The problem is rarely about signs being absent, but about whether we're quiet enough to notice them. This week, your body, your emotions, and your inner knowing are your sacred compass. Let's start with peace. If you're being led toward true alignment, you will feel a grounded sense of calm, even if your mind doesn't have all the answers. Your body will soften, shoulders drop, breath deepens, time slows. You'll notice synchronicities, repeated numbers like 777, feathers, songs, even strangers affirming what you were just thinking about. And you'll feel like you're being gently nudged forward, not pushed. These are signs you're in the energy of jackpot alignment. But if you're on the edge of a trap, the sensations are completely different. You'll feel internal tension, a flutter in your chest that isn't excitement, but warning. You'll replay conversations in your head, trying to make sense of something that felt off. You might feel rushed, confused, or like you need to explain yourself over and over. These are not signs of expansion, they are signs of soul resistance. And Scorpio, your intuition is too deep to ignore these subtle shifts. One key tarot card here is Two of Swords, the crossroads, the inner stillness before the choice. When this card appears, it says, don't decide until you reconnect with your inner knowing. No matter how shiny the offer or charming the person, if your peace is the price, it's too expensive. So pause. Ask yourself gently, do I feel safe, or do I feel tested? Your soul already knows the answer. And in the next part of this journey, we'll dive even deeper into why the emotional trap exists in the first place. Because it's not random and it's not there to punish you. It's here to show you what you're finally ready to heal. Now let's unfold the deeper mystery. Why does the emotional trap even appear if you're already on the path of growth? The answer is both spiritual and practical, because every new level of expansion requires the release of an old identity that no longer serves you. The trap is never random, Scorpio. It's a reflection of your last unresolved wound, your last attachment, your final test before breakthrough. It comes back, not to harm you, but to ask, have you truly healed this? Or are you still attached to the version of you who accepted less? When the cards reveal the Hanged Man, Five of Cups, or even Judgment, they're not showing punishment. They're revealing a sacred pause, a moment to reflect, release, and realign. The emotional trap might take the shape of a person who once made you feel small, or a dream that once defined you, but now feels heavy. It might feel like grief. It might look like temptation. But underneath it all, it's just the universe holding up a mirror and whispering, do you still believe you need this to feel whole? The answer isn't always immediate. Sometimes you'll need to sit with discomfort, to grieve the familiar even if it was toxic, to forgive yourself for once settling, without shame, only with compassion. And that's where your power awakens. Because when you look the trap in the eye and no longer flinch, no longer chase, no longer abandon yourself to be chosen, that's when you pass the test. The lesson here is not about rejection or failure, it's about remembrance. You are not here to repeat old stories. You are here to write new ones. So if something or someone resurfaces this week and tries to pull you back into the old script, don't react. Respond from your healed self. You don't have to prove anything. Your growth speaks louder than your words, and the more you honor your truth, the more the jackpot path clears. In the next part of this journey, we'll uncover exactly what unlocks that jackpot energy, so you can receive it fully without guilt, fear, or resistance. So now that you understand the emotional trap for what it truly is, not punishment but preparation, let's talk about what actually unlocks the jackpot energy. Because while the universe is always willing to pour blessings into your life, it waits for one thing first: alignment. Real alignment isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest, radically, soulfully honest, with what you want, what you deserve, and what you're no longer willing to tolerate. This week, the cards reveal the Empress, Three of Wands, and Nine of Pentacles, each a sacred key to unlocking your next level. These cards don't scream, they radiate. They carry the frequency of someone who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't shrink. Someone who sits in their worth, prepares with faith, and receives without guilt. If you want jackpot energy, you must first become the version of yourself who believes she's ready to hold it. And that begins in your choices, Scorpio. It's the quiet decision to say no to something misaligned, even if it's familiar. It's the courage to take the small step that feels intuitively right, even if it makes no sense on paper. It's speaking your boundaries clearly, trusting that what's meant for you will never leave you confused. You unlock the jackpot by choosing your peace over pressure, your truth over approval, your future over your past. Sometimes it looks like saying yes to an opportunity that feels expansive, even if it stretches you. Other times it looks like walking away without closure from something you know is draining your light. Either way, the energy that opens the door is the same: sovereignty. You step into jackpot frequency the moment you stop abandoning yourself to be chosen and start choosing yourself over and over, with grace, with softness, with certainty. And this week, the energy portal is open, especially around July 17th. So use this window, light a candle, write a letter to your future self, speak your desires aloud, visualize the version of you already living in your highest timeline, and act as if she's already here, because in truth she is. The jackpot energy is not something outside of you. It's what arrives when your inner and outer world finally match. It's when effort meets trust, when preparation meets divine timing. And Scorpio, you've been preparing for far longer than you realize. In the next part of this message, we'll look at how the emotional trap often disguises itself, sometimes even as love or success, and how to recognize the illusion before it costs you your clarity. But here's where it gets even more complex, because the emotional trap doesn't always look like pain. Sometimes it wears the face of love. Sometimes it arrives with the promise of success, and that's what makes it so dangerous. Scorpio, you are a sign of deep emotional intelligence, but also intense desire for connection, for purpose, for meaning. And this week there may be something or someone that appears to offer all three. A sudden reconnection, an irresistible offer, a conversation that sparks old feelings. You may feel pulled toward it like gravity. But here's the truth: not everything that glitters is gold. When the tarot shows Knight of Cups reversed, 3 of Swords and the Tower, it's not predicting heartbreak, it's revealing illusion. That knight may look like romance, but he carries uncertainty and inconsistency. That success may look promising, but it lacks a foundation. The emotional trap hides inside things that almost feel right. That job offer might pay more, but comes with a cost to your peace. That person might say all the right words, but still avoids true accountability. So how do you tell the difference? You ask yourself this: does this bring me closer to my highest self, or does it tempt me to become someone I've already outgrown? Scorpio, your power lies in depth, not in speed. If something pushes you to decide fast, if it floods you with emotion but leaves you confused afterward, say, pause. Real love doesn't rush. Real alignment doesn't manipulate. Success that's meant for you doesn't require you to silence your intuition. Don't be seduced by the surface. Look deeper. If it's love, it will feel grounding. If it's abundance, it will come with peace. And if it's real, you won't have to betray yourself to receive it. This week, trust the discomfort. It's not a blockage, it's a signal. It's your higher self saying, "This looks familiar, but you're not the same person anymore." And that awareness and that sacred clarity is what keeps you on the path of expansion. In the next part of this journey, we'll return to your deepest gift as a Scorpio, your intuition. Because no matter how complex the illusion, your inner knowing has always been your truest guide. And now, Scorpio, we return to your greatest gift, the one that no storm can shake and no illusion can overpower, your intuition. This week, more than ever, your inner voice is your compass, not the voice of fear or habit or impulse, but the one that whispers beneath it all, calm, clear, and timeless, that quiet knowing that rises up before the mind starts to interfere. The tarot confirms this with the sacred presence of the High Priestess, Strength and Temperance. 3 cards that speak of silent power, inner balance, and the ability to wait for truth to reveal itself. Your intuition won't always shout. It doesn't try to convince or argue. It simply is. This week, its language might come through your body, a sudden chill when someone says something sweet but off, a moment of tension when an offer lands in your inbox, or a flood of peace when you think about walking away from what no longer resonates. Trust that. Trust the reaction that happens before your mind starts explaining it away, because logic can lie, desire can distort, but your intuition never forgets what your soul came here to experience. You can deepen your connection to it through stillness. Even 5 minutes a day of quiet breathing, candle gazing, or journaling can help tune you back in. Ask yourself, what does truth feel like in my body? Then honor that, even if it makes no sense to anyone else. You don't owe anyone an explanation for listening to your soul. Sometimes your path won't make sense until it does, in hindsight, in alignment, in peace. And if you find yourself doubting, remember, you were born under a sign ruled by the unseen. You are the seer, the transformer, the one who walks through darkness not to escape it, but to understand it and rise. So let the world move loud and fast this week. Let others chase, react, and rush, but you stay still, you listen. You trust your inner tide. Because when your intuition is clear, your decisions are clean. And when your energy is clean, the universe responds. In the final part of this message, we'll close our journey with a reminder of your true power and how everything you've moved through this week is preparing you not just to choose, but to receive what's always been yours. So here we are, Scorpio, at the edge of clarity, the heart of the message and the sacred space where you remember, you hold the power, not the cards, not the cosmos, not the people who come and go, you. Because the truth is, this week was never about choosing between jackpot and trap. It was about seeing clearly, choosing consciously, and remembering that you are the one who decides what energy you allow into your life. Every test, every sign, every moment of confusion was placed, not to punish you, but to reveal the spaces where you still hesitate to believe you are worthy of peace, abundance, and true love. The emotional trap came to show you what you've healed, and what still hurts. The jackpot energy came to remind you what alignment feels like when you trust the divine flow. And all of it, Scorpio, was divinely orchestrated to bring you back home to your truth, your power, your inner compass that never needed fixing, only remembering. If you find yourself this week standing in between both, don't panic. You don't have to rush. The universe is patient. It waits for the moment when your energy speaks louder than your fear. And when you finally say, I choose peace over chaos. I choose truth over illusion. I choose me. Everything shifts, so take a breath, ground yourself, and repeat this with me if it resonates. I am ready to receive with open hands and a grounded heart. I am no longer tricked by what once tempted me. I choose my highest timeline now. Scorpio, your transformation is your birthright. Your intuition is your superpower. And your journey, with all its shadows and storms, has made you someone who cannot be shaken by surface-level distractions. This week, you don't chase anything. You magnetize. You don't beg the universe for blessings. You embody the energy that attracts them. The jackpot will arrive not because you hoped harder, but because you finally became the version of you that's ready to hold it. And if this message found you today, it's because your soul is ready. So stay connected, stay grounded, and above all Ibams, stay sovereign. If this reading brought you clarity, strength, or a sense of peace, let me know in the comments below which energy you're claiming this week. Is it jackpot alignment, or have you just spotted the trap you're ready to walk away from? Either way, I'm proud of you. You're doing the work, you're rising, and the universe is already responding. Until next time, my beloved Scorpio, keep walking the path of truth, grace, and transformation. You were never lost, only becoming.